Welcome to MLG Chase 420 MLG Scotland. Please it. Here we have, what's your name? Fantastic. He is trying to escape the cops, but the thing is, it's not easy for a man like to escape the cops because he's got many disabilities, don't you?
I have.
Yes. For example, yeah, exactly. He has no bum, which means that he can't sit on the seat very easy, especially not in these police seats doing stunts like this. It's very difficult for. Exactly. Okay. He doesn't have any arms either. As you can see, if you look at this thing, you can see arms, but they're not actually arms. They're just haggis lumps that he's just kind of twisted to make look like arms, but they're not. It's an effective tactic, to be honest. As you can see, as he's running down here, not running, he's driving. But he's driving. He's trying to avoid the cops because you can see they have these guns, which can be used to kill, which isn't very nice, to be honest. I mean, why don't you just use your fists? I don't know, but he's running anyway, and he just hit a concrete. Anyway, he just tried to get mounted. The police.
I don't want to be mounted.
He's got no bum, so how can he be mounted? To be honest, just shoot them. Come on, mate. Do it for Scotland too. That's what you do on a Tuesday afternoon.
Obvious.
What you don't want to be doing is getting chased by cops and then eventually being shot, because that's not a nice thing to happen.
Oh, no.
Luckily, he just goes to this medical centre and they can fix him up. He knows what he's doing, this lad. As he goes here, he takes that dude out. That he doesn't look like a nice man, really. He's just doing good for the community. I think that guy had attacked several children in the region. What's your name again? He's just been helping the community. And as he goes on a road trip, as he just said, he's going to try and hunt down the mighty Haggis, which, according to legend, is actually not a haggis, but it's actually a bagpipe.
In the shape of a haggis.
Actually, no, that's wrong, Jay. It's a bagpipe in the shape of a really big haggis, but it's wearing a tartan skirt. But obviously, no one's seen it, have they? So people don't know if it's actually real. So here we have Jay trying to find it, and as he approaches this strange communist building, he drives inside. No, he doesn't. He drives straight up the other side to go on a little Need for Speed race. And as he drives through some small shrubbery, he notices something at the corner of his eye. What is that naked man doing in that bush? He kills the naked man in the bush and continues to drive.
I'm like Batman, serving justice.
Jay, did I ask you to speak? As Jay continues his journey across the dirt path, he looks out at the sky to his left, and he sees sky to his left. So he looks ahead again. It's a difficult path for Jay, so he pulls over to have a wee. Don't you, Jay? But whilst he's having a wee, he spots a wild deer, which he tries to shoot dead, but unfortunately his accuracy is off. Oh, but then he shoots it anyway with his piss. As Jay climbs the mountain to look at his kill, he realises it's not a deer, it's in fact Jeffrey, his dog. And so he's quite sad that he's just shot Jeffrey, but it doesn't really matter because he didn't really like Jeffrey, to be honest. And as he looks through his own eyes, he sees Jeffrey there and he just thinks, sod it, and runs off, because he doesn't really like Jeffrey. He was a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest. He thought about putting Jeffrey in the boot and thought, no, it's too heavy, I'll just leave Jeffrey here. Maybe he could, be used as food for bears or the like. So as Jay continues his journey through Scotland, he sniffs heavily and realises he's got a really bad cold. Don't you, Jay? Exactly. And the Highlands look like just Oh, look! He looks out and he sees ahead of him. He doesn't see land. He sees dreams. He sees and then Jay crashes and he almost dies. But fortunately, he doesn't die. He lands on a beautiful beach, and Jay could have just gets out his car and he thinks, that was not by chance. That was a miracle. I have spoken to God today. And it was then that Jay completed his spiritual journey to the Highlands of Scotland and becomes the Holy Haggis. But he still hadn't found what he went out there to find. So he tries to call the birds for help, but they didn't respond to his bullets. As Jay continues to walk around, he sees these large pipes. They look like communist pipes. So he thinks, they're going to try and kill me. So he steals the fastest car in Scotland, the BF Injection Off-Road, otherwise known as the Shitter. And as he drives along, he hits a rock and he thinks, whoa! Hold up! That was a sick rock, but he doesn't have time to go back and check the rock, so he just carries on. He sees a sign, but it's not very interesting, so he just drives on. And Jay sees more communist buildings, and he needs to finish his spiritual journey through Scotland. And he needs to find the Holy Haggis in the shape of a big bagpipe wearing a tartan skirt. But he doesn't know where it is, that's the thing. No one has any evidence that it actually exists. But Jay continues his journey anyway, following the map he'd been given by his great auntie, who was also his uncle, because she was of both genders. And he sees the great city of Cairo ahead of him, which, as we all know, borders Scotland. And he looks out and he sees lights, and he decides to take a small shortcut down here. And he sees the lights and he thinks those lights look like lights because they were lights. And he thinks, and he says to the invisible man next to him, "Did you see that flip?" And the invisible man next to him just ignores him because Jay has no friends. So as Jay continues to drive, he sees trees either side, and he thinks these trees are trees, and they are made of wood. Do you know what else is made of wood? He thinks to himself. Old-fashioned dildos. They were made of wood. Which kind of puts him off a tangent, of course, as he parks his car politely here. And he goes to speak to the man that he sees. Just there. He looks like a little guard. He goes to speak to him. Unfortunately, the speech doesn't go down too well. He does end up shooting him in the head. But, you know, he tried, and the man indeed, the police do get called. Because Jay didn't think it was particularly aggressive. The man had approached him with a weapon to hand. I mean, what else could you have expected Jay to do? You know, he goes onto the track. No, he doesn't. He goes into the car park of the track because Jay is not a man who puts his life on the line to, you know, just drive around and try and beat other people. He does beat people, but he beats them in his bedroom with canes. With birds. He beats birds in his bedroom. He doesn't beat people on the track. So as Jay drives around the city of Cairo, he sees Egyptian men in Egyptian cars, and he also sees tourists in Egyptian cars, and he sees this one car. It's very Egyptian, and he gets in it and he goes, "That's a nice car." So he drives off. He hijacks the car. It's actually illegal that he did it anyway, because Jay, you know, he does what he wants, really. And he sees a really hot lady, and he goes, "Oh, that looks like a nice lady." And then he realizes it's a man. So he drives off and hits her on the way. No, he doesn't, because that would be a not very nice thing to do, wouldn't it, Jay? So Jay continues his journey. He sees a massive sign, but he ignores it. Then he sees this, and he thinks, this is a moral for my life. A massive ditch with shit running through the middle. It's just like my life, you know. And he realizes, I swear this is where I started. And then he goes, that man's got a gun. And Jay thinks to himself, have I really got anywhere in this? Like, am I ever going to find the haggis in the shape of a massive bagpipe with a little tartan skirt on it? And as he goes down into the sewage system, see, maybe he'll get a little hint as to where it is. He suddenly stops. Halt! And then starts again. Now the reason he did that was because he wanted to test if the brakes were working. Because in these Egyptian cars, you never really know, do you, Jay?
You don't know what you
No, you never do. Now, Jay sees what communist pipes, a communist gate, communist shadows. He sees some communist gates again. He sees some communist ramps, some communist gates, some communist sewage, and then he sees this, the holy pipe of holiness, because it's got a hole in it, and he does some MLG James Bond down that. And it was at this moment Jay realised, I am not Jay anymore. I'm JM's Bond. So JM's now the new man. He thinks, holy shit, there's a train there. So the man in the train is a nice man. He's called Stephen. And Stephen looks at Jay and he goes, Jay, I know who you are. I know what you want. If you want ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over it. And then he gets shot in the head. And then Jay died.